Hey there, Ed McCormack here, founder of the crypto education platform, DChain. Before we start today's video, if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel, pound that like button. We appreciate all the support that we continue to get from viewers who tune in video after video, week after week. So with that behind us, what we're going to be talking about today is a token that has exploded by over 90% just in the last week alone. And aside from just talking about this token, we're also going to talk about what are other projects that you should put on your radar in the coming months and ultimately moving into 2022. If you're asking, what token are we talking about? Look no further than Axie Infinity. And we're going to talk all about it right now. So we've covered Axie Infinity in previous videos, but for this one, what we're going to talk a little bit about is why it has exploded. And before we do that, if you're not familiar with Axie Infinity, which goes by the letters AXS, it's a blockchain-based game similar to a theme like Pokemon, where you play the game, you collect all of these creatures and little monsters, and you could earn rewards and then subsequently trade those rewards, those NFTs, those tokens with other players in the game. And it's part of this new play to earn model that really has exploded on blockchain. And I'll talk more about that in a moment. But with that being said, why has Axie Infinity just become so popular? And one of the short answers to that question is that, for one, it tapped in and really embraced this play to earn model, which if you think about, one of the big challenges that's in the overall gaming ecosystem today, it's the fact that the game developers and ultimately the gaming platform manufacturers like Sony, like Nintendo, like Xbox, they have all the control. If they want the game to act in a certain way and they want to put limits on how players can interact, they have full authority and ultimately they can dictate the rules of the game. With blockchain though, especially when it comes to play to earn, the model removes those central authorities and ultimately connects players in a way where they could trade, they can communicate, and ultimately build a thriving ecosystem. And that is what happened with Axie Infinity. In fact, in July of this year, it announced that it had done over $1 billion in sales in 2021 alone. So in 7 months, over $1 billion, which is unheard of when it comes to just a niche of the gaming industry built on blockchain. So it really laid the foundation for a lot of these bigger games to start coming in right behind it, whether that's My Neighbor Alice or Sand. You could see DxO. There's many games that have sort of followed right behind it, Myst. And in saying that, it ultimately created this new play to earn model, which when it comes to getting people excited and wanting to participate, nothing does that more than the opportunity to be able to earn something in it. And it's more than just many people think, a way to make a couple of cents. Maybe some teenagers are doing it on the weekends and nights. It's not. It's become an actual real large source of income for many people in the developing world who are playing this game, earning rewards either for themselves to sell or earning rewards for others because they don't want to put in 100 hours to get a certain character or a certain weapon. And it's become a real big industry. As I mentioned, $1 billion industry for one game only, which ultimately brings us to what are the main contributors. And it really falls down to, first, what do you do with those tokens once you have them? And aside from having this marketplace where you could trade, Axie Infinity saw an opportunity to help people turn those tokens into a way to have additional passive income. And doing so, it launched on September 30th, a brand new staking program where you could take your tokens, lock it up in a smart contract through Axie Infinity, and earn up to 240% in APY, annual percentage yield. And what that created was this tidal wave of investors who not only wanted to lock up, what they had in their wallets, but you also had other big games like Yield Guild Games, YGG, one of the biggest blockchain game developers, actually take their entire reserves of AXS tokens, because they were holding them, and actually stake them. And it was roughly about $15 million that they just wound up staking. And the net was that at the end of the day, there was roughly about 9.8 million AXS tokens, which if you take a step back and you look at what does that all mean? Well, what that means is that of a circulating supply of 60 million, overnight, or within the first few days after launching the staking program, 16% was just taken out of the market. If you could think back to maybe that econ class that you may have been tuning out in college, you might remember this one thing: supply and demand dictate price. And when you take a dramatic amount of supply out of the market, it creates a price shock like you can't imagine. And that was ultimately the catalyst to get people to start buying up more and more tokens. And in doing so, the fact that, which brings us to the second point, AXS decided that they were going to also reward early adopters of their game by doing an airdrop. Those individuals who participated with AXS before October 2020 were eligible to receive over 800,000 tokens. Now you might say, wait a second, when you do an airdrop, isn't that adding supply to the overall mix and decreasing the value? In most circumstances, in almost 100% of circumstances, that's the case. But in this one, what happened was that you had a swell of people who saw this as a potential opportunity for them, if they participate more, if they spend more time, that they could be eligible for airdrops down the line. And you saw usage numbers go off the charts with AXS. And in doing that, not only were people spending more time, earning more rewards, but also buying more tokens. And all of that considerably offset any of the tokens that were airdropped to the early adopters. And ultimately, we're going to get to sort of this third point, which is what is really in it for you. Let's say you have no interest in trying to pick a particular game. And truthfully, I don't either. I'm terrible at trying to either stock pick, try to select one token over the other where there's a subjective element to it. That's why I don't buy a lot of NFTs. I can't tell you the value of an art piece hanging on the wall. What the hell makes you think I could pick the value of a gorilla, cyber gorilla? And by the way, one of the easiest ways, I'll tell you, if you ever want to counterfeit, it's a little thing called right click, save as, boom. You now have the NFT on your computer. Congratulations. But in saying that, one of the opportunities for you is being able to invest in the platforms that are going to follow right behind in the wake for AXS. And what I'm talking about are platforms that are helping to fuel those marketplaces that are connecting game developers to game users to also contributors who are making products for these games. And look no further than GGDAP. It goes by the letters GGTK. And GGTK basically helps facilitate these marketplaces where you could do the transactions, you can ultimately facilitate payments, and at the same time do it a lot faster and a lot cheaper. And it's doing this through a partnership with Polygon, formerly called Matic. Now, I won't go through sort of the secret sauce for Matic because it did a whole rebrand about 6 months ago. It moved from being sort of a layer 2, so this way of facilitating faster Ethereum transactions, to basically a whole new pseudo blockchain. It's a protocol that is really geared to help make all blockchains interoperable and ultimately a lot cheaper and a lot faster. And in saying that, if you look at Polygon, it has become a cornerstone of some of the biggest games that have really been launched in the last year. And look no further than some of the biggest games that are coming down over the next few months, such as Pirates 2048, which is probably one of the most talked about projects, not only because of the gameplay, but also because it's using Matic to fuel everything on the back end, from calculating and distributing all the points to actually doing all the payment processing. And the centerpiece, really the backbone that's making all of that happen for Matic, is GGTK, so GGDAP. And this is where things get interesting, because as more projects continue to roll in, because of the success of Axie Infinity, and more games roll out, and they're continuing to fuel the NFT, the DeFi, the play to earn space in the gaming sector, GGTK is basically acting like Swift, the Swift network when you swipe your credit card. It is basically the facilitator that makes everything run. And this has become a huge opportunity, because when you think about any of the money that flows now to GGTK could have a huge impact, given the fact that it has a market cap of less than $10 million. Now compare that to Sand, or to Mana, or to Engine, mega projects in the gaming space. You're talking about a project that could have astronomical potential, but only worth $10 million, compared to its comparables worth billions of dollars. It has a case where it could go a 10 to 100x, and really no one in this crypto space will blink an eye, because it probably should be worth that amount anyway. So this is where, if you feel like you might be a little late to AXS, and I can't judge if you are or not, what I can tell you, start looking at the projects that are starting to generate a lot of buzz that can ultimately start to skyrocket in the wake of all of AXS's success. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please subscribe to this channel, like the video, tell your friends and family. We're always looking for help to get the word out about all the content we're putting out, and we appreciate all the support you give us. So with that being said, until next time, happy and safe investing. I'll speak with you soon.